Well, meantime, we're going to have to wait a little while longer to find out who will be special master to review the documents in the Mar-a-Lago search last month. And today, Trump's legal team filing in court saying they object to the two candidates the Justice Department proposed. And both sides disagree on fundamental details of the role itself. Trump's legal team asking the judge today to keep in place the ruling that stops the FBI from viewing documents seized, suggesting some of those documents marked classified may not be, and that Trump may have the right to keep the materials in his possession. So joining us now is Chris Steyerwalt, NewsNation political editor. Chris, as always, thank you for speaking with us. Okay, so we have this deadline. What is the significance of the deadline? Are we expecting any major developments, or is it going to continue to be this sort of back and forth with all of the legal filings?
Yeah, you know, when you get in court like this, when you get in these situations, there's one side that wants to take its time. There's another side that wants to go fast. The Justice Department wants to go fast, especially on the part that started, it seems like, all of this or most of this, which is the investigation into potential compromises of national security concerns around these documents. So that's what they want to do, first of all. And they say that they need to do it now. Then there's the second concern, which is around criminal investigation. Was this wrongly taken? Did somebody obstruct justice? Like, what are the civilian considerations here? So those are the two tracks that the federal government is thinking about, and they want to go quickly on both of them. Trump's team says, let's slow down. So first slow down with the special master. Now they're going to fight over who the special master is. And then they say once the special master has the documents, they'll need 3 months to go through the documents. So you can see that the two sides have different perspectives on how quickly this should be going.
All right. So as you said, you know, Trump's team wants to slow things down. The Justice Department wants to keep this moving. When are we going to, or when can we expect to maybe see a development of real significance?
Well, the kind of privilege that the Trump lawyers are talking about, so there's a couple, can be a confusing word, so let's keep it simple. There's the privilege that exists for the communications between a client and his or her attorney. That is uncontroversial, right? That is, everybody knows that if there's something there that could that is illegal communication, that is privileged communication. There's that part of it that's not controversial, and if there's something in there that relates to that kind of communication, then it will be kept away from prosecutors. On the other hand, there's the executive privilege claim that Trump is making, which is a big departure from what we've ever seen in the past, where Trump says he has executive privilege basically for life. His lawyers say, because he was president once, he can withhold information from Congress. He can withhold information from prosecutors. He can keep secret things that private citizens would not be able to keep secret, even though the current president, who really has the executive privilege, has said that the investigations can proceed.
Yeah, it's certainly nuanced there. It gets a little sticky, you know, depending on maybe which side you're on. Over the weekend, Senator Mark Warner said he expects that the Senate Intelligence Committee will be briefed soon about possible intelligence vulnerabilities linked to that search of Mar-a-Lago. Let's talk timelines again. Chris, how soon do you think that could happen, and how could that impact this investigation?
Well, even in their filing, the Trump lawyers say, look, we can make a carve-out, some kind of carve-out for the national security concerns here. So that was a big concession that they made in their filing, was to acknowledge that there were legitimate national security concerns based on how the president did this stuff. Plus, there's no leg to stand on there. They have to give in. And certainly the Senate and the Senate Intelligence Committee, which has a good reputation for doing bipartisan work, that the Senate Intelligence Committee will be able to get their hands on this probably a lot faster than anybody else.
All right, and Chris, you know, lawyers for both the DOJ and the former president are each suggesting these two candidates to serve as this special master, but both sides, of course, disagreeing over who that person should be, which documents they have access to, who should pay for it. What are the odds that these two sides will eventually agree on anything? And how does the judge move forward if they don't?
Well, here's the thing about judges. They have patience, but not that much. And the longer that the Trump team, so the Trump team got a big help by the installation of this special master. So that was a big win for them and something that they wanted. This judge gave it to them. Now they say, well, I don't like those retired judges to be special masters. We have our own guys. What do you think about these? If this drags on too long, at a certain point, this judge will say, okay, here's who your special master is going to be. Take it, like it or lump it, and we're going to go forward from here.
All right, yeah, so we will certainly see what happens as the saga continues. All right, Chris, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.